How can you win a Formula 1 championship? That's something only the greatest drivers can do, but winning a championship after being dead, that's reserved for only one, Jochen Rindt. This is the story of a driver who refused to back down, even when the odds were stacked against him. A driver who achieved greatness in the face of overwhelming adversity. A driver whose name is synonymous with the very spirit of racing, even after death. Yakin Rhind was born on April 18, 1942, in Mainz, Germany. His parents were both car enthusiasts, and his father owned a garage where he worked on cars. When Yakin was just 2 years old, his family moved to Austria, where he spent most of his childhood. From an early age, Yakin showed a keen interest in cars and racing. He began racing go-karts at the age of 9, quickly displaying his talent and passion for the sport. By the time he was 14 years old, he was already racing full-sized cars and quickly catching the attention of the racing world. Yakin Rhind's career in motorsport began in early 1960s, when he started racing in Formula Junior. He quickly moved up to Formula 2, where he achieved his first major success, winning the championship in 1964. The Formula 1 teams were impressed with these results, therefore his Formula 1 career began a year later with the Cooper Racing Team. He quickly showed promise, earning his first points in just his second race at the Monaco Grand Prix. Over the next few years, Rindt raced for a variety of teams, including Brabham, and established himself as one of the top drivers in the sport. In 1969, Rindt joined the Lotus team as their lead driver alongside his friend and teammate Graham Hill. It was a dream come true for Rindt, who had long admired Graham Hill and Lotus founder Colin Chapman in his innovative approach to racing. That season, Rindt's talent and determination shone through as he won his first Grand Prix in the United States. He followed that up with victories in Monaco and the Netherlands, cementing his place as a serious contender for the World Championship. The next year would prove to be big for the motorsport legend. The season got off to a strong start as he won the opening race of the season in South Africa and followed that up with victories in Monaco and the Netherlands. By mid-season, Rindt had established himself with a commanding lead in the championship standings, thanks to his impressive performances on the track. However, the season took a tragic turn during the Italian Grand Prix, held at the high-speed Monza circuit near Milan. During practice for the race, Rindt's Lotus 72 suffered a mechanical failure and crashed into the guardrail at high speed. Despite the severity of his crash, Rindt's body remained inside the wreckage of the car, which had come to a stop on the track. The marshals and medical personnel quickly arrived on the scene, but were initially unable to reach Rindt due to the location of his body inside the car. As a result, the decision was made to move the car and extract Rindt's body from the wreckage. This was done using a crane, which lifted the car off the track and allowed medical personnel to reach Rindt. However, by this point, it was clear that Rindt's injuries were too severe, and he was pronounced dead shortly after. The racing world was stunned by Yakin Rhindt's crash. He was one of the most popular and beloved drivers of his time, and his loss was felt deeply by fans and fellow drivers alike. But even in death, Yakin Rhindt was not finished with Formula 1. At the time of Yakin Rhindt's death, he was leading the championship standings by a considerable margin. In fact, he was so far ahead that his rivals needed to have nearly perfect results just to be able to win. And so, despite the fact that he was no longer alive, Yakin Rhindt was declared the Formula 1 World Champion for the 1970 season. He became the first, but thankfully only, driver in history to win the championship after death. Yakin Rhindt's legacy in the world of motorsports is a lasting one. He's remembered as a driver who pushed the limits of the sport, who was never afraid to take risks, and who always gave his all to achieve his goals. His tragic death was a reminder of the dangers that drivers faced on the track, and it led to significant changes in safety standards that have helped to make the sport safer for all of those who participate in it. One of the most significant changes was the introduction of the head and neck support device, a safety system that helped to prevent neck and spinal injuries in the event of an accident. The head and neck support device has since become mandatory in all forms of motorsport, and it has undoubtedly saved countless lives over the years. Yakin Rhindt's death also led to the redesign of many Formula 1 circuits, with a focus on improving driver safety. In the years following his accident, the FIA implemented a number of changes, including the addition of new runoff areas, the installation of barriers, and the removal of dangerous obstacles from the track. Beyond his impact on safety in motorsports, Yakin Rhindt's influence can still be seen in the sport today. He was a driver who pushed the boundaries of what was possible, and his approach to racing paved the way for a new generation of drivers who were willing to take risks and push themselves to the limit. Many of today's top drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, and Charles Leclerc, have cited Jochen Rindt as a major inspiration for their own racing careers. They have all spoken of his incredible talent and fearless approach to racing, and they have credited him with helping to shape the sport into what it is today. The story of Yakin Rhind is one of talent, determination, and tragedy. He was a man who lived his life on the edge, pushing himself to the limit in pursuit of his dreams. His death was a shock to the racing world, but his post-mortem championship win was a fitting tribute to his legacy as one of the greatest drivers of his time. Yakin Rhind will always be remembered as a true icon of Formula One, a man who left his mark on the sport and on the hearts of fans around the world.